She's cruising right along. After some serious tweaking on this thing, I gotta finally run it where it can run continuously. And so I'm printing my first big piece. And yeah, she's a machine now. I had to do some mods to it. Had to modify the print head a little. Change the way the cooling shroud worked. And we had to jack the current up on the extruder motor so it could drag stuff off of that big roll there. And yeah, I had a lot of clogs and stuff and big pile of stuff, wasted plastic, you know, tweaking it up and crashing the head into it and stuff like that. But I think I finally got it going. Now, this is just a file I downloaded off of one of these sites, and I'll show you what it is at the end of this video. But I did download SketchUp, and man, it's going to be a lot of work learning that thing, but I did actually manage to draw like a cylinder. So anyways, yep, she's cranking now, man. And you know, I gotta say, I have printed out some little stuff, and the accuracy is unbelievable on this thing. I mean, they claim a 1/10 of a millimeter, which is 4 thousandths, but I think it's better than that, just judging by the surface finish of it. Anyways, yep, so this little model here that I'm printing is supposed to take something like 7 hours to do. So it'll be cranking. It's been going for an hour and 42 minutes right now, or 47 minutes right now. So it's about 31% done. And this model is about a quarter of the size that is the maximum for this thing. So it's pretty, you know, it's a pretty good test of just about everything. Alright, well, this is the kind of stuff that you can print with a 3D printer. And you know, the detail's pretty good. I don't know how this is showing. Let me get a light on here. This was what was printing on the bed when I last showed you. And, you know, it's, I don't know, 3 inches high. And it took about 7 hours to print. It's got a matrix of infill in it. It's not hollow. It's got like a honeycomb inside of it. If I had printed it with, you know, just being hollow, obviously would have printed a heck of a lot quicker, but would have been like an eggshell. This thing here, I mean, you could almost stand on it. It's strong. But, you know, PLA is not... It's good for prototyping. It's good for making things that aren't going to have to be durable. You know, like one of the things I'm eventually going to do is make a couple of little LED holders for this thing to ride along with it so I can see it. You know, that kind of thing where it's just a static piece, PLA is fine. I have been doing some experiments with things like sunlight. You know, I put a piece in alcohol, I put a piece in mineral spirits, some in acetone, you know, some in water, just to see what it's going to do. But the good stuff is going to be TPU, which is thermoplastic urethane. and that's why we put the heated bed on here for that and ABS. But I'm going to prototype everything in PLA, and once I get the designs going, then we'll make them in TPU. So anyways, there's a little owl. That was one of the first ones I printed out. There's Batman. Just making sure everything's going right on the printer scene here. Alright, well anyways, thanks for watching, and hopefully we'll be doing some cool stuff with this. Alright, so I got this program called SketchUp on here, and this is what I'm currently using to do solids modeling for this printer. And this is where it really gets powerful, because if you can draw it, you can have it, you can be holding it in your hand. So typically, since I don't have a cubicle build space, I get rid of this. And let's see, do I have a file here? So this is loading up. This is the plate that I printed out for my to mount my solid state relay to the side of the printer chassis. And basically, what you can just draw stuff on this thing. I mean, it's unbelievable. Like, I'll show you. Circle. And then there's a hole. I mean, that's pretty good, man. It's a little trickier when you gotta like dimension stuff and have it in the right place, but there's a countersunk hole. I mean, you can do whatever you want with this thing, and it'll print it. Now, what I do is I export it to something called Cuppa. Get over there. And Cuppa is the slicer program that actually generates the layers. So, model file. Let's see if I have one. Okay, here's the Batman one. Okay. Now you can see it imports the model. It's way bigger than the print area, so it's in gray right now. But if I select it and then go over to scale and say 0.1, still doesn't fit. 0.05, now it fits in there. So let's go back in. I can move it anywhere on the build plate, and if I want to rotate it, stand them up, and then move him back in so he's in the print area. Okay, now this will generate a slice. So what it's doing up here right now is it's calculating everything out. And this is all dependent on, my layer heights and stuff that I set in here. It dynamically changes it. Okay, so now what this is saying is at this size, with this kind of fill in it, fill density of 10%, it's going to take 6 hours and 24 minutes for this thing to print on my printer, and it's going to take 11.62 meters, which is 35 grams of filament. Okay, now if you want to see what it generates, these are the layers that it's going to print. Okay, so you can see here that don't know, you guys just can't rotate this. But this blue stuff around here and up to the chin is a support structure that holds it up while it's printing, and then this red part here is the are the layers. And you can see, you know, the fill inside every, you know, the bottom layer, then the bottom of it, then every layer coming up, and then it's kind of like a CAT scan. So anyways, you can take this and then you can import this to the printer, and this will generate this shape. Well, we got this going pretty good. What I'm doing right now is I'm printing out a little fan duct for a little cooling stuff going on here, but I got the heated bed in, and I got it all calibrated, and everything is looking real good. A couple of things I found out about this printer is it is advertised that it can print a diameter of 180 millimeters, and couldn't do that. What I ended up doing was contacting the manufacturer in China. And after we got through a whole lot of communication barrier stuff, they admitted to me that there was a modification kit to get this thing to actually print right. So they're sending that to me on a slow boat. It'll be here, you know, they said 15 days. But it really doesn't, you know, they told me, oh, well, it'll print 160 millimeter diameter circle. Doesn't do that either. It does about a 90 millimeter circle right now, but they assure me that when these little pieces come, that it will fix. It'll fix it, and it'll be able to do 180 millimeters. So I hope you enjoyed this little foray into my into the world of 3D printing. Total noob on this, so you know, I'm learning here. Things I've told you are things that I've learned. Take them with a grain of salt. They work for me. Now I'm going to show you some stuff that I've done here, some pieces that I've accumulated. But what I'll say now is that, at least for PLA, I have tried blue painter's tape, I've tried capped on tape, I've tried aluminum, I've tried the hairspray, right? None of that crap seems to work for me. What works for me are these polycarbonate sheets. They got some sticky junk on the back and kind of feels like frosted glass. This stuff welds to PLA. So that's what I'm using right now. I'm using a heated bed with these things on them, and they work great. Now I'm going to show you, I've got a little cabinet pedestal altar to my 3D printer here. I'm going to show you all the little pieces that I've accumulated, because you say like, oh, okay, you know, I'm going to spend $300 on a printer. Well, yeah, but then you're going to spend like another $100 on stuff to support the printer. So we'll show you what we got here, and then we'll conclude the video. Okay, so the first thing you're going to figure out here is that you want a heated bed. What they send you is a piece of glass and a sticker like this. The problem is that you can only print PLA on glass, on an unheated bed. So one of the first things you're going to do is go out and say, I want a heated bed, because let me tell you, this technology has advanced to crazy proportions here. It's not just PLA and ABS you can print now. You can print nylon, you can print Delrin, you can print just about any thermoplastic that there is now, and it's available thermoplastic polyurethane, it's all available, and it's not that expensive. It's about 20 to 30 bucks a roll for 2 kilograms, which is like miles of the stuff. You can print all sorts of junk with it. So when you say, oh, I want to heat a bed, well, guess what? You got to get a power supply for it. That's a 30 amp power supply. We spoke about that earlier. It costs 17 bucks. Works good. The only problem is it raises hell with every other electrical device in my house. It has nice clean DC coming out of it, but the input of it is crap. It spews garbage everywhere, and it raises hell with everything in my house. So basically, when the printer's printing, all the X10 is going crazy. Next thing you're going to figure out is you got to store your PLA, and the problem is that when air or moisture in the air gets into PLA, it ruins it. It becomes brittle. Here's a piece of PLA that has been sitting out, and it just breaks. So you can't print with this like this. You got to keep it out of the air. So next thing you're going to do is you're going to say, I need a PLA storage device. So what I've come up with is this Tupperware type container. And what's inside of here, hope I don't screw the works up here, but there's the roll, and there's a dehumidifier thing, one of those $15 dehumidifier things in there. And I've got the tubing that keeps this all sealed up. The only place it's ever really exposed to air is right inside of the extruder. So this way I don't have to keep unloading the rolls all the time when I shut the printer off. And, it protects your investment, because let's face it, at 20 to 30 bucks a roll, if you're going to be printing multiple stuff, I mean, you're going to spend hundreds of bucks on material, consumables. So, you're better off just protecting it. Now, you also learn that, there's a whole lot of parts you need to have for these things. Like, these are little microscopic drills to clean out the extruder nozzles when they get clogged up. These are extra heat breaks because the melting takes place in here, and these things crap out and get clogged and stuff. Extra nozzles, because when things go sour, you don't want to have to mess around and clean it. These are some of the rods. Now, when I got this kit, one of the rods was defective, and I wrote to the manufacturer, or I emailed the manufacturer, and they sent me a whole nother set of them. So I have 6 extras here. Here's all the leftover pieces. Screws, here's the rubber gloves, display adapters, ball bearings. I don't even know what they give you these for. I think it's if they fall out of the linear rail, you got a prayer of putting it back together. I don't know what that's all about. There's an extra driver in case you blow out a stepper driver. Some extra nuts and bolts and stuff. So anyway, yeah, I don't know why they give you all this, but anyways. Okay. Thermocouples. Or not thermocouples, thermistors. All these things are cheap. I mean, this thing of 5 costs like $6. But you need them because there's one in the hot end and there's one in the heat bed, and they wear out. Extra cartridge heaters, again, like $1 a piece, but if the one in your extruder craps out, you're down, so you might as well get some of them too. Here's some extra extruder board and tubing, Teflon. And then extra bed plates. So, yeah, this hobby will nickel and dime the crap out of you if you let it. I'd say this whole thing is probably like $350 total that I've spent on this. I've also checked on Amazon, and this price has gone up on this printer. It cost me $300 when I bought it, but it's like $329 now. Probably because it's getting popular. They do have good support. I mean, it is, you know, it is China, so there's a language issue and there's a time shift issue. Like if I write them an email, I don't get a response for 24 hours because they're like 12 hours ahead of us or something like that. So when I write the email, they're sleeping, and when I get it, I'm sleeping. But, you know, it does work, and you can make stuff. So we'll see as time goes on. I've seen videos of guys doing investment casting with PLA parts. I've seen videos of guys who are like actually printing helical gears out of nylon in Delrin. So that might be kind of interesting later on. So anyways, that's the scoop on 3D printing from a newbie standpoint. I'd also like to take this opportunity to thank all my subscribers. We're getting up there now, close to 500, and I really appreciate it. It keeps me motivated to make these videos for you guys, you know, the comments and the support and stuff. So I'd just like to say thanks for that, and you know, I'll keep making the videos and you guys keep watching them. Take it easy. Thanks for watching.